Hi, and welcome to the February installment of the Microsoft Product Licensing Terms update from the Software Asset Management practice here at version 1. How's everybody doing today?
Good,
Good,
thanks,
thank you. Very
Carl.
well, thanks, Carl.
Great. So a lot of announcements this month to get through. I know, William, you've been looking at the All Things Intune, I think, to kick things off. So anything interesting on that side of
Yeah, there's a
things?
couple. So it's the first one's Windows Desktop Operating System. They've added Windows Autopilot to the list of online service components that is covered by the Universal License Terms for Online Services. So don't know why it wasn't included before, but Autopilot's been around for a number of years and often overlooked as basically a suite of tools that admins can use to pre-configure and deploy devices for users, more predominantly when they're remotely located. So Autopilot's been brought into the overall Windows Desktop Operating System terms. And secondly, you're right, so Intune, they've added two new products or newly released products. The first one's Advanced Analytics and the second one's Enterprise Application Management. So these are now within the availability and prerequisite tables. So the first one is the Analytics, a new tool that gives admins basically more intelligence and insights into user experience and the tools to proactively detect and remediate issues that may impact users' productivity. And the second one, which is the Enterprise Application Management, that's a tool, again, within Intune Suite, but also as a standalone subscription as well. And this is basically a stream of third-party apps that admins can deploy using tick boxes and update. Then they can deploy and update these to users and devices through centralized management. So it's like a whole pool of applications which are compatible with deploying through Intune to users and devices. So those are the two main updates really that I've got this month.
Very good. So I took a look at, first of all, I took a look at the announcement around From SA SKUs, and I guess this is the first major shifting or moving of the goalposts around From SA SKUs for Microsoft that we've ever really seen. So for those of you who are familiar with From SA SKUs, Microsoft brought them out probably over 10 years or so ago at this stage. And effectively they were designed to compensate customers who had certain types of underlying licenses that would in effect allow them a pathway to cloud equivalence, while at the same time maintaining a certain level of rights that would allow them to continue to or have a path to go back to those on-premise products. So it was a great mechanism for Microsoft to try and encourage customers to the cloud. And I suppose most importantly, in doing so, provided them with these, significantly discounted SKUs or From SA SKUs. So, generally we see, programmatic discounts for From SA SKUs of up to about 20%. So if you have a Microsoft 365 E3 or an E5 From SA SKU, you generally have what's called a programmatic discount built into that SKU, which is, from a cost point of view, is quite material. And probably going off on a tangent now on this one, but probably even more material, say, for customers who are in the level A category of within an enterprise agreement and maybe looking at potentially CSP as an alternative. I still see it quite difficult for customers, particularly in that sweet spot, being able to achieve, the same types of economies of scale, or not so much economies of scale, but the same pricing levels that they'll achieve through CSP as they would do with a From SA SKU. So really important that customers try and hold on to that SKU as much as they can in order to maintain that long-term discounting benefit. So what's changed? So this month we saw this announcement in the product terms. Interestingly enough, there's a supporting link off the back of the terms, or Microsoft appeared to make some form of announcement back in December of last year on this topic, but this is the first that I've actually ever seen of that announcement. So really just seeing it in the product terms this month is the first time that I've seen it. So what does it all mean? So I suppose the first thing is some customers probably start to get a little bit concerned that their From SA SKUs with all those great programmatic discounts built in are going to disappear. That's not the case. So if you have existing From SA SKUs within your Microsoft agreement of choice, you'll be able to continue to renew those from SA SKUs as required. So you're not going to be missing out on that programmatic discount. Really, this impacts on, say, new customers or existing customers that are looking to add new from SA SKUs. That benefit is going to start to dissolve or disintegrate over the coming weeks. And I think it's already hit home on all things Microsoft 365 related. So as of the 1st of February, Microsoft 365 related type products, Office 365 type products are already being impacted by this change. So it's probably going to affect a relatively small pool of customers potentially who have not availed from SA SKUs up until this point in time. As of the 1st of April, there's similar changes coming with regards to Dynamics. So Dynamics 365 from SA SKUs, there's going to be a similar change where the existing customers obviously can continue to renew, but those that have a need for new SKUs, if they're existing customers or new customers, that benefit is going to go away. So I believe Microsoft are looking to put in place some sort of incentive to drive adoption from SA SKUs and Dynamics. Maybe there's a bit more of a larger pool of customers that haven't used from SA SKUs and all things Dynamics. Whereas with 365, Microsoft 365, Office 365, I'd say a lot of customers out there have leveraged from SA up until this point in time. So an interesting one, I suppose, from my side, it's interesting to see, will Microsoft continue to provide from SA SKUs out into the future, or is this the beginning of potentially some form of change in their posture around the availability of those SKUs? I hope it is not, because I think there's a really great benefit there for customers over the last number of years. And it's been a win-win for both parties, I think, Microsoft and customers alike. So yeah, quite a big announcement, but maybe not as material an impact for many organizations. So coming back to all things AI and Microsoft 365 Copilot for Services, we saw Copilot for Services added to the availability tables for EA, EAS and MCA. If you're familiar with Microsoft Copilot for Services, it basically lets you create agent-facing copilots that are designed to, in effect, boost agent productivity and improve all things customer satisfaction related. We also see a license prerequisites table being added in there for Copilot for Services. So you've got to have a Microsoft 365 Business Standard, Business Premium, E5, E3, E5, or Office 365 E3 or E5, obviously, to be able to have the rights to purchase and use a Microsoft 365, or sorry, Microsoft Copilot, should I say, for Services license. Also on Microsoft Copilot for Sales, we saw some new specific terms being added for Copilot for Sales. So Microsoft state that for Dynamics 365 environments and Power Automate connections created by Microsoft Copilot for Sales, that they are limited for use with Microsoft Copilot for Sales only, and that any Microsoft Copilot for Sales capability included as part of Dynamics 365 sales products are limited for the use with Microsoft 365 sales environments. So very much a kind of a walled garden type scenario to be aware of with regards to Microsoft Copilot for Sales there. Also, Microsoft replaced an additional product attribute for the faculty offering for Microsoft 365 A5 security and Microsoft 365 A5 compliance in the EES table. Moving on to Dynamics. So there's a couple of announcements on Dynamics. So Microsoft have added specific terms with regards to Microsoft 365 Finance Premium and Power Pages extended use rights. So there's a clause in there now for Microsoft Relationship Sales. So in that clause, Microsoft state that all components, software entitlements, and Microsoft Relationship Sales are limited for use with Microsoft, should I say, Dynamics 365 sales environments only. So something to be aware of there. And the final point on Dynamics this month in the product terms that we saw, because quite niche, but relates to all those users who may be using Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central and Microsoft Dynamics 365 Finance in Denmark. So there's some specific bookkeeping laws and regulations that apply to Danish customers. So Microsoft have obviously updated their product terms to reflect those. So if you're a Dynamics user in Denmark, that is going to be applicable to you, whereas outside of Denmark, probably less. So quite a lot to run through there. So probably links in well, Niamh, with the items you've taken on to have a look at this month.
Yeah, well, I had a look at the extended use rights for Microsoft 365, E3 and E5. So up until now, and there still is, there's only 2 extended use rights. So one is for Office servers, where for if you have on-premise servers for Exchange, SharePoint, Skype for Business, probably less so now, every user, as long as they're solely used by E3 and E5, then you don't have to license those servers on premise, right? So that was a right that Microsoft extended to E3 and E5. The other one was Office Professional Plus. So for if you had Microsoft 365 from SA user SLs for E3 or E5, Microsoft said you could install one local copy of Office Professional Plus, and also if you had additional users who were full USLs under the same contract, you could also extend the same right to them too. Now, with the update where they have announced they're going to stop licensing under new contracts, etc., and new users from SA, what Microsoft have done, they said, right, for each licensed user who used a device licensed with SA for the Windows Desktop, Office Professional Plus, Core CAL or Enterprise CAL, then they're going to give the same right to them. So essentially what they're saying is, so if you're still on the classic, professional desktop or enterprise desktop, and you're moving into a contract for Microsoft 365 E3 and or E5 or whatever, that you also get that same right as the someone who's got license for from SA E3 or E5. So really, just one of the things I want to call out about the Office Professional Plus right though is in this, I guess one of the reasons why they probably do that is for particularly these larger customers, enterprise customers, where there may be interoperability or compatibility issues with maybe legacy applications or custom built applications for the likes of maybe Access and things like that a customer still needs to retain or to have their users with use Office Professional Plus. Now, one of the things that I come across quite often is customers should be aware this is only on one local device per user. This is not to be put onto servers or VDIs, or XenApp, and so on. You don't have that right. Even if your users are licensed by, E3.5 from SA, you don't have that remote right to install Office Professional Plus. It's only on a physical device. So that's pretty much it. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how that one kind of pans out.
Great stuff. Thanks, Niamh. So Richard, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Carl. I was looking at the GitHub offerings for this month's updates. Essentially, they updated the EAS and MC availability tables to reflect new license availability, right? So this is in line, and all they're trying to do is align it with the generative AI updates. They also have updates to EAS and MCA availability tables to reflect this new license availability. Notably, it's important to realize some offerings on GitHub are now available to MCA customers for the first time. However, it is interesting to observe that certain MCA GitHub offerings, such as GitHub Actions, Advanced Security, and GitHub Packages, have a license prerequisite for GitHub Enterprise User SL, which is not yet available under MCA. Hopefully, this issue will be resolved in the coming months. A comparison table that I've kind of put together will be included in the blog post that accompanies this video. So that was it on GitHub. On the privacy and security terms, essentially, it's great to see that Azure is continuing to evolve and enhance its services. The addition of Azure Container Instances to the core online services table is a significant step, and the clarification regarding the online services excluded from the DPA is useful for users. And then the last one I looked at was the Microsoft Azure the Microsoft Azure has recently made some updates to its services. The cognitive services and applied AI services has been renamed to Azure AI Services. These changes reflect the evolution and consolidation of Azure's artificial intelligence offerings. So some additional name changes, but the GitHub one is actually still quite interesting.
Great stuff. Thanks, Richard. Thanks, William, and thanks, Neve. So if you have any questions off the back of today's session, don't hesitate, should I say, to reach out to us here at the Version 1 Software Asset Management Practice. There's quite a lot of updates to take in today as well, so recommend that you read the monthly blog that usually coincides with this video. There's quite a lot of detail in today's session, and if you want to get down into that detail and refer back to where the applicable terms have changed in Microsoft's product terms, the blogs will include links to those sections in the product terms. So until the next Microsoft product terms update next month, and whatever videos we'll be pushing out over the course of the next few weeks, we'll see you then. And as always, any questions, happy to help. Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.